Welcome. Subscribe to AS Foundation, India's leading academy for CA course, and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. Thank you.
Yes, a very good morning. Right, so yesterday we had an introduction to intermediate audit regarding the syllabus. We understood that the syllabus has been divided under 4 parts, right? And then we started with the first chapter, which is chapter 1, Introduction to Auditing. In which first, what did we study? Yes, we studied the definition of auditing. Yes, what does the definition of auditing say? Audit is an independent examination of financial information of any entity, whether profit oriented or not, irrespective of its size or legal form, when such an examination is conducted with a view to express an opinion thereon. So what did we understand? That audit is an independent examination. So the auditor should not be biased. There should be no conflict of interest. Today we will also study a short note on the independence of the auditor. Right, of financial information. Yani ki the definition of auditing that we are studying is the definition of audit for financial statements. That means audit of balance sheet, statement of profit and loss, cash flow statement, statement of changes in equity, and the notes, which is summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory information. Right, of any entity. So what do we understand? That audit could be done of a profit making organization, non-profit making organization. It could be a company having a turnover of 20 lakh or 200 crore or 300 crore or 1000 crore, and any legal form. It could be a sole proprietor, LLP, partnership, HUF, listed, unlisted, public, private, foreign, any form of entity. And why such an independent examination of financial information is done? In order to express an opinion. Yes, in order to express an opinion. And how do you express an opinion? You express an opinion. For expressing an opinion, you use the phrase true and fair view. Okay, according to the information and explanation given to us and to the best of our knowledge and belief, the said balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow statement give a true and fair view of the state of affairs, which is reflected by balance sheet, the profits or losses, that is the results reflected by the P&L, and the cash flows of the entity, which are reflected by the cash flow statement. So what is the objective? Why this independent examination is being conducted by a third person? In order for him to express an opinion, to form and then to express an opinion as to whether or not these financial statements give a true and fair view. I told you before true and fair, long time back it was true and correct, wherein that time the focus was only on the mathematical accuracy of the books of account. Now do we check for mathematical accuracy? Yes, but that is only one part of our checking. We have go much beyond checking the mathematical accuracy. So now we also check for the reliability of financial reporting. What do you mean by financial reporting? That means accounting. Okay, right. Then we said in order to ensure that the financial statements are not misleading to anybody, and that they express a true, they are true and fair. What are the points the auditor should check for? One, the accounts have been drawn on the basis of the entries in the books of account. Second, the entries in the books of account are on the basis of the underlying records. Third, none of the entries should be omitted, or it should not happen the entry which is not there is being reflected in the financial statements. Then, so first 3 points are regarding more or less the entries in the books of account. Point number 4, okay, all the information given in the financial statement should be clear and unambiguous, means it should be, there should be clarity. Yes, the users of financial statement should clearly understand the performance, the results of the entity. Right, then we said the financial statement disclosures are in conformity with GAAP, are in conformity with the accounting standards, and the auditor has to form an opinion on the true and fair view. Yes, the financial statement should give a true and fair view of the operational results and the affairs of the entity. Right, so those are the points the auditor needs to check for when he wants to express an opinion on the true and fair view. Then after that, so this was the first discussion we had in chapter 1 yesterday. Then after that, the next discussion which we had over there was regarding the objective and scope of audit. And when it came to discussing the objective and scope of audit, I took you to which standard? SA 200. What was 200 on? Overall objectives of the independent auditor and the conduct of an audit in accordance with the standards on auditing. Yes, overall objectives of the independent auditor. So what is the objective of conducting the audit? And second part, the standard says that auditor, you need to conduct the audit in accordance with the standards on auditing. Right, so what is the overall objective laid down by SA 200? To obtain a reasonable assurance. And how is reasonable assurance defined as? It is said that reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance but not an absolute assurance. I told you 99% but not 100%. Why? Due to the inherent limitations of an audit. So reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatement. Right, free from material misstatement. So did I discuss with you yesterday what do you mean by a misstatement? Yes, difference between what is and what should be. Then what is free from material misstatement? There is no material difference between what is and what should be. And no material difference between what is and what should be. Like I gave you an example of a misstatement. Okay, inventory valuation done by the client is 120 crore. As per the auditor, it is coming to, as per AS2, he checked the working and it says, he says it's coming to 100 crore. So the difference between the two, 20 crore, difference between what is and what should be is a misstatement. Yeah, difference between what is and what should be, a very important technical term which we require in audit, misstatement. And then we said misstatement can arise due to fraud or it could be due to error. Yes, it could be intentional, unintentional, concealed, unconcealed. So misstatement includes both. It includes fraud also as well as error also. Right, so what is the overall objective of the auditor? To obtain a reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatements, thereby enabling the auditor. What? Thereby enabling the auditor to form an opinion, to express an opinion, okay, whether or not the financial statements have been prepared by the management. Whose responsibility? Preparation of financial statements, management's responsibility, in accordance with an applicable financial reporting framework. Yes, applicable financial reporting framework could also be referred to as the applicable accounting framework. That means the framework, the laws and regulations which are to be followed by the management in the preparation of the financial statements. Example, for an Indian company, what would be the AFRF? Indian Accounting Standards and Schedule 3 to the Companies Act 2013. And then I also took you to a few sections of company law. Okay, section 139 is the section under which the appointment of company auditor takes place. 143, duty of the company auditor to report on the true and fair view of the financial statements. And 129, which is regarding financial statements, says that the financial statements of a company shall give a true and fair view if they are in compliance with accounting standards and Schedule 3. That means as an auditor, if I have to express an opinion on the true and fair view of financial statements, I need to check whether they are in compliance with accounting standards and Schedule 3, because that is the AFRF applicable to an Indian company generally. Right, and then finally, what does the last part of the objective say? To report the findings, and how to report the findings of the auditor as per the requirements of the SAs, that is the standards on auditing. Yes, yesterday did I also mention regarding these standards, right? What are these standards which have been issued by ICAI? Yes, the engagement and quality control standards, which are of 5 types. Yes, standards on auditing you need to follow when you are doing an audit of financial statements. Standards on review engagement, which you need to follow when you are doing a review of the financial statements. Standards on assurance engagement, when you are doing any other assurance engagement other than an audit or a review. Right, then any related services you are providing to the client, then for that you need to follow standards on related services. And we have a mother standard for all these, means whether you are doing an audit or whether you are doing a review or whether you are providing some other assurance or related services, in all cases you need to follow SQC, that is standard on quality control. Right, at inter level, what are the standards applicable for you? The standards on auditing except for the 800 series. Right, 800 series, there are 3 standards over there, 800, 805, 810, right? Except for that, entire SA series is applicable except for the 800 series. SRE, SAE, SRS not applicable, and SQC only one standard, SQC1, which is it applicable for IPC inter? Yes, it is applicable. Yes, is that clear to everyone? Okay. Right, then that was the objective, the overall objective of the auditor. Then what did we say? All aspects of the enterprise to be covered in the audit. All aspects of the enterprise to be covered. The information provided should be reliable and sufficient. Then if the management refuses to provide certain information to the auditor, yes, it restricts the scope of his audit, then it is called as a limitation on scope, constraints on the scope, because of which the auditor will not be able to issue an unqualified or an unmodified opinion. Yes, he may have to modify his opinion. Why? Because he has not got all the information. Like yesterday I told you, bank BRS the client is not giving. So that is what your scope is, to do the audit of the entire financial statements, and now they are not giving you the bank reconciliation statement. So what is that? That is a restriction on scope. That is a limitation on the scope of the audit. Okay. Right. Then after that we came to an ATF question. Do you remember what ATF stands for? Right, all time favorite. Right, so what is the ATF question? Principal aspects to be covered in an audit or the overall audit approach. Yes, the principal aspects to be covered in an audit or the overall audit approach. Right, what are the principal aspects to be covered in an audit? We said 2, 3, 2, 3. Right, what was the first 2? When you are going for an audit, starting point of the audit, auditor, you need to understand the accounting and internal control system at the client place, and also the systems and procedures for recording of various transactions in the client's accounting system. Then with next 3 points, mathematical accuracy of the books of account, capital revenue distinction, and the comparison with the underlying records. Like we saw yesterday, balance sheet to schedule, schedule to trial balance to ledger, right? So what was that? The comparison of the financial statements with the underlying records. Then next 2 points which we talked of was vouching and verification. Yani ki vouching means you need to check the validity, the authenticity and validity of the transactions recorded in the books of account. Right, so validity is for transactions, so that is mainly for the profit and loss account items, and verification is for the assets and liabilities, right, that is mainly for the balance sheet items. And then last 3 points, we said compliance with statutory requirements. So as a part of your audit, auditor, you also need to check whether the financial statements are in compliance with the laws and regulations, whether the entity has complied with all the laws and regulations which are applicable to it, right, and then the true and fair view and the reporting. right? So you need to express an opinion on the true and fair view, and accordingly you need to report as required by law. Right, so what are these? These are the principal aspects to be covered in an audit, or also referred to as the overall audit approach. Yes, also referred to as the overall audit approach, right? Very important question, 6 mark, 8 mark, it has been previously asked in your exams. Right, then after that, the next very simple question we studied yesterday, which was regarding the types of audit. Right, again previously asked in your exams. So what were the types of audit divided under? 2. Types of audit required under law, and second one, the voluntary audits. Yes, voluntary audit where there is no legal requirement for getting an audit done, but due to the advantages associated with an independent audit, such entities may voluntarily get an audit done. Example, sole proprietorship, partnership firms, and the HUF, that is the Hindu undivided families. Right, and audits required under law where there is a legal requirement under that specific law for getting the financial statements audited. Like for companies which are registered under the Companies Act, then banking companies, insurance companies, electricity supply companies, right? Then we talked about the corporation set up under an act of parliament like LIC, GIC, yes, UTI. Then we talked about the various trust and charitable institutions formed under the various religious endowment acts, and then the provisions of the Income Tax Act and also the GST audit or the sales tax audit. Right, so that was an important question on the types of audits, audits required under law and the voluntary audits. Right, so this is up to what we have already covered yesterday. So I hope you know, as compared to what understanding you developed yesterday by listening to it for the first time, and what you've understood today after revising it, there is some level of improvement. Yes, you are able to make more sense out of it, and that is what will happen, you know, more 3-4 times you go through it, we'll go further in the syllabus. Yes, you will get a better grip of what we are trying to learn. Okay, right. So now coming to 2 important questions. Yes, going further, coming to next 2 important questions. First question, now what we are going to study today is the advantages of an independent audit. Right, advantages of an independent audit. So, you know, company has prepared its financial statements, and the management of the company has prepared the financial statements, balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow statements and notes. Okay, why not, you know, directly they can make use of these financial statements. Like yesterday I gave you an example, the managing director going to Apna bank asking them for a loan of 2000 crore. Yes, the bank refused to give the company a loan. Why? Because the financial statements which they had got were not audited. Right, so see, this balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow statement and notes does not have any value unless and until there is the audit report which is there on top of all of this. And the IAR, that is the independent auditor's report. Right, you know, crores of rupees, you know, listed companies, these big fours, when they do the audit of these companies, crores of rupees is the audit fee, 20 crore, 23 crore, so much amount of time, so much of disturbance in your regular office work, you know, these auditors coming, asking for voucher, asking for information, late sitting in office. Why all this effort? Is it worth it? And getting an audit done, does it serve any purpose? Yes, are there any advantages associated with getting an audit done? Right. So now we are going to discuss the advantages of an independent audit. Yes, again an ATF question. Yes, advantages. So one, I told you, okay, the financial statements are there, balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow, notes, and on top of that, when the audit report is put and the auditor has written in the opinion paragraph of his report that these financial statements give a true and fair view, certainly it increases the reliability of the financial statements. Okay, so whatever balance sheet, profit and loss is there now underneath that audit report, that is now considered to be much more reliable. Why? Because the shareholders, the stakeholders, the users of the financial statement, they know that there is an independent third person who has gone for doing the audit at the entity, who has the professional competence to do the checking, who has checked each and every item of the financial statements, say maybe even on a sample basis. And based on all the checking that he has done, he has checked whether the entity has complied with accounting standards, whether Schedule 3 has been followed, and after doing all this checking, on the basis of that, he is expressing an opinion saying that financial statements are true and fair. Right? So certainly it increases the reliability of the financial statements. Second, it also safeguards the financial interest of the stakeholders. Like see, the main stakeholders in the company are the shareholders and the equity shareholders. But apart from that also you have the preference shareholders, you have the debenture holders, you have the government, you have the creditors, yes, who have provided goods to the company on credit basis. Right? So all these say, what you say a creditor wants to give goods to the company on credit basis. Jio Limited has called up one of its suppliers and they are saying that please give us 30 lakh ka goods on credit, udhari pe, give us 30 lakh of goods on credit. Now see, for that creditor company to decide whether it is safe, whether I should make this dealing of giving 30 lakh rupees goods on credit to Jio Limited, how can he decide? He also needs to do the assessment of the credit worthiness of Jio Limited, no. So again he will have a look at their financial statements, have a look at their cash flows, financing activities, operating activities, from where is the money coming, is there any money coming? Right, so what is that? It safeguards the financial interests of the public, of the creditors, of the bank, of the government, of the debenture holders. Right, so these are the first two advantages. What are those? Reliability of financial statements and safeguards the financial interests. Then, next one is the books of account of the entity are up to date. Yes, books of account of the entity are kept up to date. Why? Because they know, client knows, that auditor comes, he can ask for any document, he can ask for any information. So that is why even though if during the year there has been some backlog of the one, on or before 31st of March, the client will do some late sitting and finish off all the work. So again, it's a check on the employees, whether all the books of account have been updated. Right. Then when the auditor is going to check sales, purchases, he is going to check rent, salary, he is going to review the operations, he is going to check the purchases, he is going to check the sales procedure. So he is also going to do a review of the operations of the entity. Right, so he will come to know of any operational inefficiencies, any improper decision making which has taken place in the organization during the year. Okay, one advantage I told you of getting an audit done is what? That the books of account would be updated. And now the employees, they know that I can get a commission, I can do over recording of expenses by 200 rupees, I can do under recording of sales by 5,000 rupees, or I can book some bogus discount and put that money into my pocket. They have all these options. But there is always some sort of a pressure or a control on them. They don't say, nahi yaar, that auditor, he comes, he checks the voucher in detail, or फिर ये ना वहाँ पे वो पकड़ में आ जाएगी मेरी चोरी. So what is that? It also serves as a moral check on the employees. See, given all the freedom on earth, now, right now, when you are sitting in front of the pen drive, okay, you might think, no, yaar, I might just play some latest music in my ears and madam is writing, I am seeing something on the screen, or I am listening to madam and I am doing some other work, talking to friend or something. What is happening? There is nobody on top of you, to bombard you or to control you. But all of a sudden, say your elder brother, sister enters into the room, or your father comes over there, or mother, or uncle, auntie. Then all of a sudden, you're like, no, I'm studying, okay, I have to be sincere. Right? Why? Because if somebody comes and checks, then you are certainly more alert. So similarly for the employees in the organization, it acts as a deterrent. Deterrent means something which stops you from committing a fraud. Error is anyways unintentional, so obviously it will stop you from committing a fraud. And errors also, now you will be more meticulous while conducting your work, because नहीं वो auditor आएगा, बहुत बार client बोलते हैं नहीं अभी जब entry हो रहा है ना तभी सब ठीक से करते हैं, फिर client बाद में auditor जब बाद में पूछते हैं ना फिर कुछ याद नहीं रहता है. So that is why they maintain the proper adequate records supporting. Why? Just in case the auditor asks for the supporting, they should be ready at hand. Right, so it's a moral check on the employees. Right, so books of account and also moral check on employees. So these 2 points I can little bit interconnect. Then review of operations. Like I told you, the auditor will check the production process, he will check the inventory valuation, he will check the purchases, he will check the sales. And when he is doing the review of all these operations, he may come across certain cases of any wastages or losses which are taking place in the organization. Like say while attending the physical verification of inventory, he found that lot of obsolete inventory or lot of unused inventory is lying in the godown, and still the client continues to further order more and more goods, and it is all piling up in the godown. Right, which is not required. If you already have some goods in stock, where is the need to order for the goods? Right, so again it leads to detection of any wastages or losses. Like last month they ordered, like a simple example, say stationery of 5,000 rupees, all pens and clips and boards and all papers and whatever was required. Now out of that, say 60% is lying unused, and again next month again they ordered stationery of 5,000. Okay, so this again, such wastages and losses may also be detected by the auditor while conducting the audit. Okay, you have to time and again keep on reminding yourself, okay, what is the heading that we are studying right now? What is the heading? Yes, the advantages of an independent audit. What is the first 2 advantages? Reliability of financial reporting or financial statements, and safeguards financial interests. What are the next 2? Books of account and review of operations. Next one, moral check on employees, and also helps in the detection of wastages and losses. Then after that, now we come to the next 2. Next 2 is regarding, it helps in the settlement of any trade disputes, and a settlement of any trade disputes, like helps in the settlement of the trade disputes. Like the workers in the organization have gone on a hunger strike. Okay, they've gone on a hartal, they've gone on a union strike saying that hamari mange puri karo, you have to increase our salary, otherwise we'll not go for the, we'll not do the production process, we'll not enter into the factory of the company. Okay, they are saying you have to give us bonus, you have to give us increment. Okay, so now see, on what basis can these trade disputes or such conflicts be resolved? See, the management can show them the financial statements of the company. Let's see, we have made a loss of 2,300 crore during the year. The company is going through such a deep financial crisis. How do you expect that in such a position or situation that we declare any wage, increment or any bonus or so? Right, so now again, when will the employees who are agitated accept the basis which you have given of the financial statements that they are showing a loss of 2,300 crore? Only when they have been audited by the auditor. Otherwise, simply no. See, otherwise the company can simply manipulate those financial statements. See, like yesterday I told you, actually in the financial statements of Jio, there was a loss of 700 crore. But because they wanted a loan from the bank, they did window dressing. They showed a better financial position, by which they showed a profit of 600 crore. Similarly, now say for the employees are asking for wages, increase in wages, and the company doesn't want to give. Now, actual profits of the company for the year are 1200 crore, but they do not want to show the increase or the profits of the company. So that is why again they manipulate the financial statements, and what they may do, they may show a net loss of say 500 crore. Right, so that would also lead to manipulation. But please understand that downward manipulation is not window dressing. Window dressing is always to show a better financial position than what actually is. Showing worst is not covered in window dressing. Window dressing is always better financial position than what actually is. Whereas, when you are showing worst, you have a profit of 1200 crore, still you are showing a loss of 700 crore. That is a fraudulent financial reporting. Yes, you are doing fraudulent accounting in that case. Right. So, what is the next advantage of independent audit? It helps in the settlement of trade disputes. Then we studied that, yesterday that an audit could also be done of a partnership firm. So now, in a partnership firm, there is admission of a partner, there could be retirement of a partner, there could be a death of a partner. So, whenever these situations arise, you need to do the settlement of the accounts of the partnership firm. Yes, the settlement of the accounts of the partnership firm is required to be done. I think in your accounts, you might have done lots of varieties of problems regarding partnership firm. And you need to do the computation of goodwill on the admission, retirement of a partner. Yes, you also need to do the capital contribution, profit sharing ratio. Yes, the workings you need to do. Right. So, what is the next advantages? This is specifically in case of a partnership firm that they've put over here. It helps in the settlement of the accounts between the partners of the firm in case of admission, retirement, death of a partner. Right. So, what are the next two advantages? It is regarding the settlement of trade disputes and the settlement of the accounts of the partnership firm, of the partners of the partnership firm. Okay. Right. So far how many advantages have we studied? 8 advantages. Right. So, we are just left with the last 2 advantages of an audit. Yes, of advantages of an independent audit. Right. So, what are the last 2? One, it talks about the taxes and loans. Yes, taxes and loans. So, when you have to pay the taxes to the government for whatever profits have been made or sales or so, again this tax computation would be done on the basis of the audited financial statements, like the provision for tax, advanced tax computation. See, even when you have to pay GST, you have to get the GST audit done annually. Right. So, what is that? The payment of taxes can be done on the basis of the audited financial statements. They are more acceptable by the government. Right. And again, when you want to take any loans from the bank would always desire to obtain your audited financial statements in order to assess the credit worthiness of the borrower. So, you have to remember these terms, okay, little bit of technical hint, flavor of technical words has to come in your answer. So, please listen to me very, very attentively. Yes, listen to me very attentively. Okay, right. So, taxes and loans. So, one in the payment computation and payment of taxes, and second for getting the loans sanctioned. And finally, the last advantage as given in your notes is regarding the government support. Yes, any government support required, you want any grant, subsidy from the government, right? So, in that case, you have to show that, see, our financial position is so bad, we are making losses, there is liquidity crisis in the company, we don't have money, we require some infusion of capital, infusion of funds into our company. So, again, you can make a call for this government support, again on the basis of the audited financial statements. तो अभी तो क्या है, मैंने सिर्फ गुणगान गाया है. I've just talked all praise about कि क्या बड़ी चीज है, क्यों करवा के लेना चाहिए audit of the financial statements. One of the basic fundamental question which time and again has been repeated in your exams. Yes, advantages of an independent audit. So, when you are studying a theory subject, it's not like you have to just tick or count the number of pages that you have studied. Okay, or just, I know, it's like, कि मुझे ये पता है कि ये heading है, ऐसा एक question है book में, advantages of independent audit. That does not mean that you know the advantages. Then second step, say little bit of heading here and there you remember, again that purpose is not solved. You remember say 3-4 points, you say हाँ मुझे तो आता है, नहीं, फिर भी ऐसा ही count करो कि नहीं आता है. Okay, then after that say with great difficulty you managed to studying the headings. फिर भी ऐसा ही समझ के चलो कि you don't know the answer. Why? Because you have to complete, study the answer holistically. Do you know the headings? Okay. Do you know all the headings? Then do you know the content which you have to write in front of each of the heading? This is where I have observed over the years that is the greatest problem. Somehow they develop some mnemonic, they know some A, some D, some alphabet somewhere, some M, some G, like some short form they remember, like say R is for reliability of financial statements, S is for safeguard financial interest, some mnemonic will be maintained, no harm in that. But what happens over a period of time, there are so many R and so many S and so many A that it's a bit confusing. So you know there is an R, but that R stands for what? That also becomes a confusion or some mismatch happens over there. So first step, you have to remember the headings correctly. Then once you remember the headings, now students say, "Ke I to what? I am a BCom graduate. I am also in the process of doing my BCom." Okay, so they say BCom, we have a wonderful practice or a knack of writing the answers. Okay, we know, okay, once one question is asked, we can write 4 pages answer. Same thing again and again, active voice, passive voice, again. Rather, one extreme case I heard of one student, he said, "Madam, BCom exam, for every subject I study only one question, one answer and go. And irrespective of the question asked in the exam, I write the same answer and I get very good marks." Okay, so that funda, that strategy, probably it is helping you only for your BCom exams. But for CA exams, okay, filling potatoes in front of the points, just some filler, like, just as there is samosa, stuffing inside the samosa of potatoes. Similarly, you've written the heading and you're putting some potatoes in front of it. You think the examiner is not going to check. That does not happen over here. Don't take it for granted. When the CA examiner, when the paper evaluator, he evaluates your paper, he has been given standing instructions that you have to read the answer line by line. And so, whatever you have written, the same thing, same crap again and again, it becomes frustrating for the examiner. So frustrating that this answer to you have written wrong, so that you have lost marks, and he is so irritated looking at the paper that even the next answer which you've written right, where you should have got say 4 out of 6, because of the wrong impression which you have created, you will get 3 out of 6 only. So you are digging your own grave type of a situation. Right, so don't be in the rat race of completing number of pages of the books, or just finishing the headings which are over there. No, study each question as a masterpiece. Okay, and see, if your attempt is in May 19, November 19, May 20, whenever it is, you still have good amount of time with you to study. Yes, you still have, but yes, slow and steady wins the race. So consistently every day, every time when you study the subject, you need to study it concretely. And how much ever you study it, if you have a look at it after 15-20 days, again it may be like blank. So that's again normal, that's a part of how human memory has been designed. Okay, so again you need to revise, again you need to create a layer of revision, and likewise accumulating layers of revision, you will be able to write a good answer in the exam. Right, so am I very clear to everyone what are the advantages of an independent audit? See, this is like a sure shot question. This is not any case study, wherein you are asked your opinion or you have to say whether the accounting treatment is right or wrong. And there are 2 types of question. One is an open-ended question and second is the closed question. Closed question, where all students, the answer which they write, it has to be the same, because advantages are advantages. But if I am asked to write your opinion regarding how will you do the audit of a textile company suffering huge amount of losses, now the answers which I find in all the books may be different. Why? Because now it's an open-ended question. Okay, right. So once again, so did you notice there are 10 advantages of an independent audit? And 10 advantages of an independent audit, right? We've divided them into 2. You understand what are the first 2 points? Reliability of financial statements safeguards financial interests. Next 2 point, books of account and review of operations. Moral check on employees, wastages and losses. Settlement of trade disputes, settlement of accounts. Taxes and loans and government support. Yes, does everybody understand that? Are the financial statements also beneficial not only to the outsiders like the stakeholders, like the public, the venture holders, equity shareholders, creditors and so, but are they also beneficial to the management of the company? Yes, they are beneficial to the management also. Why? For future decision making. Because they can decide their future course of action based upon the financial performance of the present. So they also take a base of the financial statements for their future decision making purposes. Right. So I hope everybody has noted this in their books. Yes, if not, then please copy down what are the advantages of an independent audit. Okay. Right. So now let's just have a look at these points which I have just discussed with you in your notes also. Right. So does everybody buy the stationery which I told them to buy? Right. Do you have some colors and highlighters or you say कि नहीं pen drive में कहाँ मैम देखने आने वाले हैं? तो मैं तो anyways paper लिखने भी नहीं आने वाली हूँ for that fact. Okay, but whatever I am telling is for your advantage. Okay, you have to buy a little bit of stationery and keep it ready, keep it handy, yes, when you are seeing the lectures. Right. So now coming to the advantages of an audit of financial statements. The chief utility of audit lies in the reliable financial statements on the basis of which the state of affairs. Now I think you may be knowing that state of affairs are reflected by the balance sheet. Yes, very good. Next one, safeguards financial interests. It safeguards the finance. So I am reading it now from the books because I have already explained it to you, right? So that you are able to correlate. Yes, it safeguards the financial interest of person who are not associated with the management of the entity, whether they are the partners or shareholders, bankers or financial institutions, that is, yes, the bankers again and public at large, etc. Right. Then what were the next 2 points which we had written? Books of account and review of operations. Right. Books of account, audit ascertains whether the books of account and allied records have been properly kept and helps the client in making good deficiencies or inadequacies in this respect. So up to date books of account. Then review of operations. As an appraisal, what do you mean by appraisal? Review of performance, reviewing something, that is appraising something. Right. So as a review of appraisal function, audit reviews the existence and operations of various controls in the organization and the weaknesses, inadequacies, etc. in them. Right. So books of account and review of operations. Then what is the next point? Yes, next point is the moral check on the employees. It acts as a moral check on the employees from committing defalcations or embezzlement, yani कि any fraud in cash. Right. Then after that, next one which we have is regarding the wastages and losses. An auditor can also help in the detection of wastages and losses to show the different ways by which these might be checked, especially those that occur during the absence of internal checks or internal control measures. Right. So that is wastages and losses. What are the next 2 points? Settlement of trade disputes and settlement of accounts. Did you find? Right. So they are also useful for settling trade disputes for higher wages or bonus, as well as claims in respect of damage suffered by property, by fire or by some other calamity. So again, for settlement of insurance claims also, yes, you can use the audited financial statements. Right, then government may require, settlement of accounts. Audited accounts are of great help in the settlement of accounts at the time of admission or death of a partner. Right, then after that, what are the last 2 points? Taxes and loans and the government support. Right, taxes and loans, audited statements of account are helpful in settling liability for taxes, negotiating loans, and for determining the purchase consideration for a business. What an amazing point. And in case company A wants to sell its business to company B, so at what price should it sell? What should be the purchase consideration? Even that could be decided on the basis of the audited financial statements. And last one, government support. Yes, government may require audited and certified statement before it gives assistance or issues a license for a particular trade. So any grants or subsidies or any license from the government to be received, again for that the audited financial statements would be preferred. Okay, right. So right now, are you an accountant? Yes, because you know debit, credit, and you know the basic golden rules of accounting. But once that word chartered get added in front of you, you become a chartered accountant. That makes all the difference. So similarly, has the company prepared financial statements? Yes, but once they are audited and the auditor has issued a report, then they are called as audited financial statements, and that makes all the difference. Right? Is it okay for everyone? Advantages of an independent audit. Yes, are you all able to understand? Are you all with me? Yes, please be alert in the class. Yes, so just as to every coin there are two sides, head and tail. Yes, similarly, just as we have given so much of, talked so much of praise for the financial statements, the audit of financial statements, we've talked about the advantages. So now comes the time to talk about the disadvantages of an audit of financial statements. So the heading over here is referred to as the inherent limitations of an audit. Yes, inherent limitations of an audit of financial statements. Again an ATF, all-time favorite question of ICAI. Yes, one of the two keeps on coming in the exam. Right, so inherent limitations of an audit. Like yesterday when I was discussing the definition, reasonable assurance. What did we say? Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance but not an absolute assurance. 99% but not 100%. Why? Due to the inherent limitations of an audit. Inherent matlab these are by default. You cannot do anything about them. You can reduce them to say a great extent or to some extent, but you cannot completely eradicate, you cannot completely remove them from an audit. It's like, with the elephant, wherever the elephant is going, will the tail of the elephant go along with the elephant? You say, madam, it goes without saying, obviously the tail will go with the elephant. So similarly, wherever you do the audit, these inherent limitations are like complementary. And it's like a complement. Okay? Whenever you do an audit, these inherent limitations are always going to be there. Okay. So whatever happens on earth, in case if a question is asked in your exams regarding the inherent limitations of an audit, compulsorily the first 2 points in your answer have to be the nature of financial reporting and the nature of the audit procedures. What did I tell you? Let anything happen on earth, compulsorily when you are asked a question on the inherent limitations of an audit, what are the first 2 points which you have to write in your answer? Nature of financial reporting and nature of audit procedures. Okay, right. Nature of financial reporting. Two companies, let me say for example, Jio Limited and Rio Limited. two companies, for example, Geo Limited and Rio Limited. Okay, two companies, asset, liability, income, expense, being exactly rupee to rupee of the same amount. Can they declare a different profit? Can they have a different profit, or can they have a different financial position from each other? Asset, liability, income, expense, same. इनका सेल 120 करोड़, उनका भी सेल 120 करोड़, इनके पास 12 प्लांट एंड मशीनरी, इनके पास भी 12 प्लांट एंड मशीनरी, सेम टू सेम, नो डिफरेंस एट ऑल इन देयर एसेट, लाइबिलिटी, इनकम, एक्सपेंस. Can two companies show a different profit? Yes, can two companies show a different profit? Yes, they can show a different profit. How? Just by a simple way, just by following a different accounting policy. Say company Geo Limited is following WDV for charging depreciation. Rio Limited is following SLM method for charging depreciation. Are both recognized methods of charging depreciation? Certainly yes. Can they declare a different profit? Can they show a different profit? Yes. So, to increase or decrease the profits of the company, it is not only necessary that you actually need to increase your sales or, reduce your purchases or so. Simply what you can do, just change an accounting policy of the company, and even that could lead to a change in profit. Right. So, the nature of financial reporting itself is such that it involves a lot of judgment. And there is a huge probability of there being manipulation of information and a manipulation in the data provided by the management. Like the company has received a show cause notice from one of the departments of the government, and this information intentionally has not been disclosed to the auditor. Now see, if it is disclosed to the auditor made inquiry, he asked them, but still the client kept mum. They didn't utter a word regarding that show cause notice which has been received. See, had the auditor come to know, he would have done the checking, gone through the case, followed AS 29, had told the client to make a disclosure in the notes as contingent liability. But for that, the client has to provide the data, the correct data. Right, so what is that? Manipulations by the management, not providing information or providing incorrect information. दोनों equal पाप है. Not providing information, कुछ नहीं बोलना, या जो बोला वो गलत बोला, or providing incorrect information. Right, so what is that? The nature of financial reporting itself has an element of limitation or subjectivity in it. Second one, the nature of the audit procedures. So as an auditor, when I go for an audit, okay, I find something suspicious, I find something wrong at the client place. Can I just seize the books of account of the client? Can I exercise a seizure? Yes, can I seize the books of account of the client? Yes, do as an auditor I have such a power? Can I do an investigation into the affairs of the company? Yes, that is there in company law, no? Okay, the central government can order an investigation into the affairs of the company. The inspector has the power to seize the books of account of the company, right? He also has the power of search. Even in income tax law you study, power of search and seizure. Yes, power of search. So as an auditor, do I have the power of search? No, no power of search. You are restricted only to performing your audit procedures in a very diligent and careful manner. Okay. Now, as an auditor, I ask client for the supporting documents, and client provide me the supporting documents, and I need to check them and check whether prima facie they appear to be right. Now, as an auditor, am I trained to check into the authentication of the document? See, they have given me a rent agreement, but who knows on earth this rent agreement may be a bogus one. But as an auditor, am I an expert in the authentication of documents provided by my client? No, no power, okay, or no expertise or no requirement to check for the authentication of the documents. Right. So what are this? Nature of financial reporting and nature of audit procedures. First two inherent limitations of an audit. We'll see these two and then we'll go to the rest. Right. The nature of financial reporting. The preparation of financial statements involves judgment by the management. So whether WDV, whether SLM, whether FIFO, whether weighted average. In applying the requirements of the AFRF, does everybody understand the term AFRF? Yes, applicable financial reporting framework. For us, what is the example of an AFRF? Accounting Standards and Schedule 3. Yes, to the facts and circumstances of the entity. So that is the first one, the nature of financial reporting. Second one, the nature of audit procedures. There are practical and legal limitations on the auditor's ability to obtain audit evidence. We are going to study a separate standard on audit evidence, SA 500. Yes, audit evidence. So practical and legal limitations. Right. So what are the practical and legal limitations? What did I tell you? Is the auditor an expert in the authentication of document? No. He is neither trained as or nor expected to be. Then as an auditor, do I have the power of search? Can I do an investigation into the affairs of the company? No. What does it say? An audit is not an official investigation into any alleged wrongdoing. Right? So any wrong going in the organization, does the auditor have a power of search? No. Investigation separate, audit separate. Right. And then I also told you that the information may be, yes, intentionally or unintentionally, the wrong information may be provided. That management or others may not provide intentionally or unintentionally the complete information that is relevant. Yes, that the client may not provide the information only. Like I told you, a show cause notice has been received. Now the client did not inform the auditor only. Right, so no information being provided to the auditor. Right, so what are these? These are the first two inherent limitations of an audit. Nature of financial reporting and the nature of the audit procedures. Right, then what are the other inherent limitations of audit? It says timeliness of financial reporting. Timeliness of FR, that is financial reporting, and balance between benefit and cost. And a timeliness of financial reporting and balance between the benefit and cost. And then it talks about the other inherent limitations, the other limitations of an audit, and last one they talk about is no guarantee for fraud error detection. है ना, no guarantee for fraud or error detection, है ना, fraud or error detection, no guarantee for fraud error detection. Right, so in total these are the 5 points: nature of financial reporting, nature of audit procedures. Okay, right, nature of financial reporting, nature of audit procedures, timeliness of financial reporting and balance between benefit and cost, other inherent limitations, and no guarantee for fraud error detection. Okay, so now say the completed financial year is 31st March 2020. Okay, say some 2 lakh sales voucher have been processed at the client place during the year, 2 lakh sales voucher. So as an auditor, say I start my audit in April and I start checking these vouchers, okay. So it is going to take me at least 3-4 months or 2-3 months, you know, to check so many vouchers and each and every entry of the client place. So, you know, when I finish with all this work, say by the time it comes for the time for me to issue my report, it may be say 20th of August 2020, okay. So now see, March the financial year got over and now in August you are declaring the results of the company. Is it not too late? Like, you know, you might have generally seen that March results are declared in April. You understand, when the board meeting of the company takes place and then the annual report and so is printed, and by September the AGM of the company needs to take place. So what does it say? You have to strike a balance between the timeliness. Okay, time is very important. No, I tell you all the important questions for November 21 exams in December 22. So does it serve your purpose? Not at all. You understand? So the timeliness of the financial reporting. Right, and second, balance between benefit and cost. What happened, you made 2 of your articles in office to do this checking at a particular client place. Client had some interest computation, interest income of 1,23,462 rupees. And lots of small FDs which they had kept with the bank, 1000 ka FD, 2000 ka FD, 300, whatever, 400, small amounts FDs which they had kept with the bank. So maybe on some of the FDs they might have earned an interest of 2 rupees also, 5 rupees also, 7 rupees also, but voluminous and a huge number of FDs and big interest calculation. So now you made your 2 articles sit for 4 days continuously, and for 4 days what were those 2 fellows checking for? The interest working of 1,23,462. Okay, now what is the turnover of your client? Say some 4,000 crore. Okay, then what is the profit of the company for the year? 200 crore. Okay, now do you tell me there is something called as ABC analysis. You have to strike some, strike some balance between how much expenditure are you incurring, कितना cost, 4 दिन आपके 2 लोग पूरा time वो एक ही काम पे लगे हुए हैं, और क्या आप कौन सा ऐसा which mountain are you going to reach on top of, by doing the checking of this interest working in detail. Doesn't serve the purpose at all, no. You understand, now you say no, I am preparing for audit, so that is why I have written down auditing and assurance का spelling 100 times. तो मतलब क्या तीर मार ली है ऐसा करके ना, that type of a situation. So again it says you have to strike a balance between the benefit and the cost. You understand, client is going to pay you a fee of 2.5 lakh rupees, है ना, 2.5 लाख का fee है आपका. So obviously proportionate to the fees, accordingly you will decide upon the number of the checking to be done, how many people are to be put on that assignment. Because for you also it's a cost, no? You have to pay the salary of the employees which you are putting on the client assignment. Right? So that is another inherent limitation of an audit, timeliness of financial reporting and balance between the benefit and cost. Next one, the other limitations of an audit. Okay, now here I am going to make a reference to a few standards. So 4 standards rather. Right now it may not make more sense to you, but as and when we study those standards, and after that when you come to chapter 1 and the inherent limitations, certainly it's going to be very easy for you to understand. Okay, 1. As I have written in the next point also, okay, in an audit, does the auditor give guarantee for fraud error detection? No guarantee. So we have SA 240 which is regarding the auditor's responsibilities relating to fraud in an audit of financial statements. So audit, does it give a guarantee for fraud error detection? No guarantee. Right, so there might be manipulation, there might be falsification of accounting records, there might be forgery, tampering, unauthorized changes being made to vouchers and documents. Right. Then next one, okay, during the course of audit, I may not come across instances of all non-compliances with laws and regulations. And the non-compliance, like I told you, that show cause notice received has not been communicated to the auditor. So that's an instance where non-compliances with laws, regulations have not been detected. So we have SA 250 which is regarding consideration of laws and regulations in an audit of financial statements. So 250. Right. Then there might be some unusual transactions with the related parties. Yes, do you understand related parties? Yes, subsidiary, associate, joint venture, key managerial personnel. Right, so there might be some unusual transactions which might have taken place with the related parties, and there might be some concern regarding the going concern assumption being used in the preparation of financial statements. Going concern? Yes, it's a fundamental accounting assumption that the entity will continue its operations for a foreseeable future. You understand? So there is a possibility that the auditor may not identify instances which may lead to a significant doubt regarding the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. Right? So 4 standards to which we remember, as we give a reference to because it's easy to remember the points that way. So 240, 250, 550 and 570. it will become a cakewalk for you over a period of time, as and when we keep on studying the standards, the numbers of these standards. And last one, see, what is the title of 200? Overall objectives of the independent auditor and the conduct of an audit in accordance with the standards on auditing. Right, so if I have done my audit in accordance with the standards on auditing, so does that mean that now there is no possibility of fraud error? Does an audit being done by the auditor give guarantee for detection of fraud and error? Yes. Had we given a guarantee for detection of fraud and error, I think in that case we could have given an absolute assurance rather than giving a reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatement. So what is the last inherent limitation? It says that even though if the audit has been planned and performed in accordance with the standards on auditing, there is an unavoidable risk that some material misstatements may not be detected. Unavoidable. Unavoidable risk, what that? Some material, MT, misstatements, yes, MS, may not be detected. Right, that some material misstatements may not be detected. Did you like this term? Unavoidable risk. Ma'am, we can't avoid it. पूरा 100% checking कर लो client की, या guarantee दे सकते हैं क्या कि all frauds errors have been detected? No guarantee for fraud error detection. We are going to study a separate chapter on this, fraud and the responsibilities of the auditor in this regard. Okay, so in an audit, there is an unavoidable risk that some material misstatements may not be detected, even though if the audit has been planned and performed in accordance with the standards on auditing. So, no guarantee for fraud error detection. Yes, unavoidable risk. Will you remember this term? Yes, unavoidable risk. Okay. Right, so let's conclude with the inherent limitations of an audit. What does it say? Timeliness of financial reporting and balance between benefit and cost. Right, what does it say? Matter of difficulty, time or cost involved is not in itself a valid basis to omit a procedure for which there is no alternative. So obviously you can't say I don't have time, that is why I did not check BRS. So that's not a valid basis. So it says appropriate planning assists in make sufficient time and resources available. Notwithstanding this, the relevance of information and its value diminishes over time, and there is a balance to be struck between the reliability of information and its cost. So I told you, checking that interest, working so much in detail, no, it doesn't make much of a sense. Okay, right. Other matters that affect the limitations of an audit, what does it say? Fraud, particularly senior management or collusion. What is collusion? Joint effort. Employees of the organization have formed a racket and they are committing a fraud. Right, existence of existence and completeness of related party relationships and transactions. So that is with standard SA 550, which is on related parties. Then occurrence of non-compliance with laws and regulations. So that is 250, consideration of laws and regulations. And future events or conditions that may cause an entity to cease, yani to stop to continue as a going concern. So that is SA 570, which is on going concern. Am I clear to everyone? Right. And the last one, no guarantee for fraud error detection. There is an unavoidable risk. What type of a risk? Unavoidable risk that some material misstatements may not be detected. So that means you did not do the audit properly. No. Even though if the audit has been planned and performed in accordance with the standards on auditing. So see, we've just finished two questions, the advantages of an audit of financial statements, and second one, the inherent limitations of an audit of financial statements. What are the 5 points in the inherent limitations? Nature of financial reporting, nature of audit procedures, timeliness and the balance between benefit and cost, other matters affecting the limitation, and also the no guarantee for fraud error detection. Has unavoidable risk. Yes, is that clear to everyone? Unavoidable risk. So even though in your exams a question on inherent limitations of an audit is being asked for 8 marks, how many points will you write? Students have a mindset कि 8 mark question तो पूरी दुनिया इधर की उधर हो जाए, पर मुझे तो 8 पॉइंट तो लिखना ही पड़ेगा आंसर में. पर कहाँ से लिखोगे? अगर इनहेरेंट लिमिटेशंस में 5 ही पॉइंट है, where can you create the 6th point from? So even though if it is for 16 marks also, you have to write down these 5 points only. Yes, what are the 5 points for inherent limitations of an audit? Compulsory first 2 points, nature of financial reporting, nature of audit procedures. Then after that, the timeliness of financial reporting and the balance between benefit and cost. Other limitations, other matters affecting the limitations for an audit, and also the last one, no guarantee for fraud error detection. Okay, right. So what did we study? Advantages of an independent audit. How many points? 10 points. Inherent limitations of an audit. How many points? 5 points. Okay, right. So now coming to the next one. Right, now coming to the next heading. What is the next heading as you see it in your books? Relationship of auditing with other disciplines. Yes, the relationship of auditing. Yes, relationship of auditing with other disciplines. Yes, relationship of auditing with other disciplines. Right, disciplines means what over here? It simply means other subjects. Yes, relationship of auditing with other disciplines. Okay. Right, so which other disciplines or which other subjects am I going to compare auditing, or I am going to check the relationship of auditing with? Okay, so to just first to jot down the points, okay, can you tell me all the subjects which are there in your foundation or which was earlier called as CPT? Yes, few of those subjects if you can tell me. Right, so one in CPT or foundation you have accounts. Yes, you have accountancy. Okay, right. Then after accounts, what else? Yes, you also have law over there, mercantile law I suppose. Right, so auditing and law. Right, then you also have mathematics QA. Yes, mathematics and statistics. So we have mathematics and then we have the statistics. Is that okay? So we have mathematics and statistics. Then which other subject do you have in your foundation? Yes, do you also have economics over there? Do you also have economics over there? Right. Yes. Right. So we've relationship of auditing with other disciplines. So first we picked up a few from your foundation syllabus. So auditing and accounts. Yes, auditing and accounting. Auditing and law. Yes, auditing and accounting. Then auditing and law. Then auditing and mathematics. Auditing and statistics. Auditing and economics. Right. Then let's add a few from your inter syllabus. Right, inter, what gets added in your syllabus? Right, taxation. Right, so taxation actually comes under law itself, so we need not take it as a separate heading. Okay, then after that, yes, financial management, FM, no? Right, so auditing and financial management. Auditing and financial management. Then after that, costing, you know, or what you call it now it as management accounting. So costing means it is more regarding production, no? So here I will call it as auditing and production. Right, then you have your EISSM, right, that is the enterprise information system. So that over here I will call it more as the data processing. right? Here I'll refer to it as the data processing. And then in addition to this, we have one extra which does not get linked through your syllabus, which is regarding the subjects, which is behavioral science. Right, so are the headings easy for everyone to remember? Yes, how many headings in total we have identified? 9 headings we've identified. What are we checking the relationship of auditing with? Auditing with accounting, auditing and law, auditing and mathematics, auditing and statistics, auditing and economics, right? Auditing and financial management, auditing and production, auditing and data processing, and auditing and behavioral science. Okay. Now, generally, how do we expect a question on this one in the exam? Briefly discuss the relationship of auditing with other disciplines. 6 marks, 8 marks. So, what you need to do? You need to write down one heading, auditing and accounting, and then 1 or 2 lines in front of it, but no filling potatoes now, and a content writing of points over there. Okay, so that's, one pattern in which the question could be asked. Discuss briefly the relationship of auditing with other disciplines. You write down the headings, and each of the points you write down one sentence over there. Okay, but now ICAI has 2 patterns or formats of asking the question in the exam. One is they ask the question in the wholesale format, or second they ask the question in the retail format. Right, so what is wholesale question? The one which I just told you 2 times now. Relationship of auditing with other disciplines. Briefly discuss. So you write down the headings and you explain each point by 1 or 2 sentences. Second one, and a retail question. The discipline of auditing is very closely linked with the discipline of behavioral science. Comment, 5 marks. So now all of a sudden there is a volcano eruption. All of a sudden there is an earthquake. Why? Because okay, 1 or 2 points, I know the heading, and 1 or 2 points, 1 sentence in front of it I can manage to write. But writing this relationship of auditing with behavioral science, 5 marks, now it's a big tragedy. And now you have to use your phacology over here. And develop your own analysis, think of why it should be linked, and start bluffing over there something. Okay, so again there are some questions which you need to prepare in both format. कि अगर wholesale में question पूछा तो क्या क्या कितना लिखना पड़ेगा, और retail में आया तो क्या क्या detail में क्या क्या point लिखना पड़ेगा. So what is the golden rule? कि if the question is asked in retail, student, you should know the points in detail. You should know the points in detail. Good rhyming, retail and detail. Okay, so when the question is asked in retail, you should know the points in detail. Okay, so like behavioral science has been asked in one of your exams as a retail question. Then in your RTP, that is your revision test papers, they have put questions on economics and law also. So that could probably come into the suggested also. Is that okay? Right. So now let us pick up each one of the point and try to understand the relationship of auditing with each one of them. Do you understand what is the heading which we are discussing right now? Relationship of auditing with other disciplines. Easy to get the headings? Yes, very easy. Why? Because you just need to remember your syllabus, CPT, Foundation, Inter. Okay, so auditing and accounting, auditing and law, auditing and mathematics, auditing and statistics, auditing and economics, auditing and financial management, auditing and production, auditing and data processing, and auditing and behavioral science. Okay, I hope you are also saying it over there. Yes, when you are sitting in front of the laptop or your computer screen and you are listening to this particular video, you are studying chapter 1 with me, which is regarding introduction to auditing. I hope you are also writing it in the notes. Yes, you are writing it in the notes, you are saying it with me, you are listening to me with complete attention. Continuously I am looking at the camera or I am looking into my laptop. So similarly, are you also looking at the screen and also looking into your books? Yes, no distraction, no looking here and there. You just develop a habit, in the first few lectures. Then once the takeoff is fine, then the flight experience is good. Okay, but only that from the beginning you should develop the right habit. नहीं तो वो आदत लग गई, इधर उधर देखते रहे, इधर उधर, तो फिर वो वैसे ही, फिर वो हमेशा ही वैसी आदत रह जाती है. Yes, is it okay? Right. So, कुछ नाता है ऑडिटिंग एंड अकाउंटिंग का, जन्मों जन्मों का नाता है. अच्छा, क्या व्हाट, मतलब जन्मों जन्मों से क्या है ऑडिटिंग एंड अकाउंटिंग का, सिंस एजेस. Oh, we do in audit, we check in audit what is done in accounting. अच्छा, हम accounting ही check करते हैं audit में. Oh, wonderful. Understand? Rather, to put it in a very crisp manner, it is so said that auditing begins where accounting ends. I repeat, what is said? Auditing begins where accounting ends. Like yesterday I told you, audit is a post-mortem activity. Already the transactions have been recorded, already the entries have been passed into the books, already the financial statements have been prepared. So now what is the auditor doing? Yes, what is he doing? He is doing the checking. Now he is checking the records, documents. Does the auditor check for the accounting policies? Does he check for compliance with accounting standards? Does he check the accounting principles of the entity? Does he check whether the entity has complied with the applicable financial reporting framework when he is doing an audit? Should the auditor have exhaustive knowledge of accounting while doing an audit of financial statements? Should he have exhaustive knowledge of accounting or no need? Accounting वगैरह नहीं आता है तो भी audit कर सकते हैं? असंभव, यानी impossible, ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता है. For you to be a good auditor, you should have a very sound, exhaustive, profound knowledge of accounting. So, should he be familiar with Ind AS and AS and IFRS? Yes, so a very sound knowledge of accounting is required. So, is there any relationship between auditing and accounting? Certainly, yes. Do you understand what we have to discuss in each of the heading? Let's try a few more. Auditing and law. So, should the auditor have knowledge of law? Should he know which law he should know? Labor law, contract law, Payment of Bonus Act, ESI, yes, environmental law. Which law should he know? Mercantile law, yes, Negotiable Instrument Act, Corporate, Contract Act, Sale of Goods Act, LLP, SEBI, Banking Regulation Act, yes, Income Tax Act, yes, Direct Tax Law, GST law. Should he be knowing each of these? Should he be knowing FEMA, the Foreign Exchange Management Act? Yes. Yes, auditor should be familiar with all the commercial laws which are applicable, which are required to be complied by its client. Yes, he should have knowledge of the taxation laws also. He should also be familiar with the provisions of the Companies Act. Okay, so that is auditing and law. Should he have knowledge of taxation laws also? Yes, direct as well as indirect taxation laws? Yes, both direct as well as indirect taxation laws, he should have a sound knowledge. Right, because as in an audit you also need to check, no? Yesterday we studied in the principal aspects to be covered in an audit. Okay, should the auditor, yes, also needs to check the statutory requirements, that is the compliance with the laws and regulations. Okay, is a chartered accountant required to know mathematics, 2 plus 3, 4 plus 8, 5 plus 9? Where in an audit do you require mathematics? Yes, to check the mathematical accuracy of the books of account, and a depreciation, rent, interest, royalty, and a mathematical accuracy of the books of account, and a posting, casting, and a casting, subcasting, total, subtotal. Right, so auditing and mathematics, mainly when he is doing inventory valuation, and he needs to check the price, the rate, quantity, the multiplication, the addition. Right, so auditing and mathematics. Why is knowledge of statistics required? And statistics, theory of probability, random selection. Right, so in an audit we go for test checking. You know what is test check? Sampling. right? So say population is 100, out of 100 we select 10 samples. Okay, but now by checking 10 samples, do you want to form an opinion on 10 or do you want to form an opinion on 100? Yes, you want to form an opinion on 100. Population is 100 transactions, sample size is 10. How many you checked? You check 10, but by checking 10, do you want to form an opinion on 10 or do you want to form an opinion on 100? Yes, you want to form an opinion on 100. So you need to do the projection, है ना, by a statistical method, है ना. You need to do the projection कि अगर 10 में 3 errors है तो 100 में कितना होगा. Okay, no cross multiplication, no extrapolation. We have to do the projection of errors by a statistical method. Understand? So lot of use of statistics is also done in auditing, right? Mainly when the auditor opts for sampling, है ना, when he goes for checking of a part of the population instead of checking the entire population. Yes, will you be able to justify? Are you getting what type of content is required to be written in the answer? Okay, right. Next one, auditing and economics. Okay, so when we are checking the transactions of an entity, we are checking purchase, sale, production, and inventory. So are not all these economic activities in an organization? Yes, all this production, do they not indirectly contribute to the GDP of our country? Right, then in an audit, while understanding the nature of our client's business, do we understand also the price element, the productivity, the capacity of the plant of the client? Do we understand the demand supply gap? Right, so all this demand, supply, price, productivity, are these not all terms related to economics? Right, so very much. Is auditing and economics related? Yes. Is it more related to macroeconomics or microeconomics? Right, more related to microeconomics because we are talking of a particular entity which we are auditing. But should the auditor also have knowledge of the overall economic environment in which the client is operating? कि क्या ट्रेंड है इंडस्ट्री में, प्राइस बढ़ रहा है, कंपटीशन कैसा है, डिमांड सप्लाई कैसे है, से टेलीकॉम इंडस्ट्री हो, सॉफ्टवेयर इंडस्ट्री हो, बैंकिंग इंडस्ट्री हो. शुड द ऑडिटर हैव नॉलेज ऑफ द ओवरऑल इकोनॉमिक एनवायरनमेंट इन विच द क्लाइंट इज ऑपरेटिंग? Yes, he should have knowledge of the overall economic environment also. Okay, so how many points are there in relationship of auditing with other disciplines? 9 points. Okay, I have discussed 5 with you. So we will just go through those 5 in the book and then we will discuss the other 4. Yes, everybody with me? Okay. Okay. Right, it is so said that auditing begins where accounting ends. Oh, what a wonderful statement. Right, auditing reviews the financial statements which are nothing but a result of the overall accounting process. We said audit is a post-mortem activity. The auditor should have a thorough and a sound knowledge of the generally accepted principles of accounting before he can review or audit the financial statements. In fact, auditing as a discipline is also closely related with other disciplines as there is a lot of linkage which is the work done by the auditor in his day-to-day activities. To begin with, it may be noted that discipline of auditing is a logical construct and everything done in audit must be bound by the rules of logic. And ethical precepts are the foundations on which the accounting profession is based. So that's okay. Next one, auditing and law. Auditing involves examination of various transactions from the viewpoint of whether or not these have been properly entered into. Okay. It necessitates that an auditor should have good knowledge of business laws affecting the entity. He should be familiar with the law of contract and negotiable instruments. Oops. Right, the knowledge of taxation laws is also inevitable. Inevitable means what? Unavoidable. Right, then it says he should have knowledge of direct tax laws as well as the indirect tax laws. Right, so that is auditing and law. Next one, auditing and economics. As it is well known, accounting is concerned with the accumulation and presentation of data relating to economic activity. Auditors are more concerned with microeconomics rather than macroeconomics. The knowledge of macroeconomics would also include the nature of economic force, the relationship of price, productivity, role of government and government regulations. Auditor is expected to be familiar with the overall economic environment in which his client is operating. Everybody, are you doing the marking? Right, so that's auditing and economics. Next one, auditing and statistics and mathematics. Right, so test check procedures. And a test check means what? You can write down over there, sampling. And audit sampling. So test check procedures. Yes, in auditing have become a part of the generally accepted auditing procedures. Right, so auditor is expected to have knowledge of statistical sampling so as to arrive at meaningful conclusions. Then knowledge of mathematics is also required on the part of auditor, particularly at the time of verification of inventories, that is the stock. The use of data analytics, okay, nowadays lot of data analytics being used. Data analytics in a very basic understanding of data analysis could be MS Excel. And there's so much of data analysis being done in Microsoft Excel. Yes, continuous auditing and continuous monitoring of data to identify risks as a part of internal control. Right, so that is auditing and statistics and auditing and mathematics. Okay, right, now let's cover the others. Okay, we've already covered accounting, law, mathematics, statistics and economics. Now let's come to FM. Okay, financial management. What comes to your mind the moment you listen to the term FM? Financial management, capital budgeting, okay, fund flow analysis, okay, cash flow, okay, ratio analysis, okay, debtors turnover, current ratio, quick ratio, debt equity. You understand, so many ratio analysis which you do. Right, so as an auditor, he should also have sound knowledge of the financial management. Then, right, production. Okay, it is so said that a good auditor is that which has a good knowledge of his client's economic or production activity. See, you are doing the audit of Tata Motors. So, you certainly would be considered to be a good auditor only when you know their production or their manufacturing process of making a car. Okay, from scrap, okay, or from the raw material, from the basic till the final output, and till the final Indica car or whichever car of Tata Motors is ready. Okay, the auditor should understand the entire production process. You understand, he should understand what is the joint product, what are the byproducts which are developed during the production process. He should understand the various terms. Say कोई material use होता है client के production process में जिसका number है J35. So everybody client के यहाँ बोलते हैं रे J35, J35. Now you as an auditor keep wondering ये क्या है J35. So then when they explain you the production process, then you come to know कि ये तो inventory का एक item है जो बहुत important है, उसका J35 number है. So is it not that you have to be familiar with the terminology being used by the client in their production process? Right? You have to be familiar. फिर उनका costing जो होता है ना, आप पढ़ते हो costing में standard costing, marginal costing, process costing. You have to understand the cost accounting system also being used by your client. Right? So auditing and production. तो भले ही हाँ लिखते वक्त हम production लिखते हैं, but we are more or less talking about the management accounting only. That is costing. Right. Next one, auditing and data processing, that is use of computers. So nowadays, you know, rather there is a separate chapter also which we have auditing in an automated environment, which was earlier also called as the CIS. But now also you can call it as CIS, that is the computerized information systems environment. Yes, the computerized information systems environment. Right, huge amount of volume of data and a bulk of data being processed by the client's computer system. So you need to understand the use of computers being done by the client in their accounting process, and how computers are being used by the client, how data is being processed. Because nowadays if you ask client for depreciation working, what is the answer? They say no, that work our computer does it. Okay, so you have to understand the data processing being done by the computers. And It says a good auditor is a person who understands human behavior well. So behavioral science is nothing but understanding of human behavior. Yes, it's understanding of human behavior. See now, probably when certainly when the client has committed a fraud, fraud is intentional. So they would have no intention to disclose it to the auditor, telling him that, see auditor, during the year I have taken away 20 crore rupees from this organization. You understand, it is a fraud. No, they are going to, the person who has done the fraud is going to take steps to hide that particular fraud. So now you know there is something what you hear as sixth sense. No, कि नहीं यार मुझे ना कुछ गड़बड़ लग रहा है, मुझे ना ये बराबर नहीं लग रहा है, ये ना ये आदमी नहीं इसमें आई एम नॉट एबल टू हैव कॉन्फिडेंस, मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि कुछ गड़बड़ किया है इन्होंने अकाउंटिंग में, ये कंपनी में ना कुछ फ्रॉड हो रहा है, ये एम्प्लॉई है ना कंपनी का, ये ठीक से नहीं काम कर रहा है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में. So what is that? That is your understanding of human behavior. And you know, a very important part of the internal control system in the organization is the ethical values, moral values of the people working in the organization. Because you design whole set of internal control, but if they have to do pilferage, if they have to, do chori, and they have to take away the goods, the robbery or so, they want to take away the inventory of the company, then they can also always find ways and means to do so. You understand? So that is why understanding of human behavior, and because during the course of audit you have to interact with so many people in the client organization. Also the internal control system of the client place is dependent a lot on the people working in the organization. You also have to make a lot of inquiries of the people working in the organization. And see, financial auditor, matlab the auditor who is doing the audit of financial statements, he mainly has to deal with numbers, figures he has to deal with. But the internal auditor who is doing the audit of the internal control system, he though has to mainly deal with the people. So that is why having a good understanding of human behavior, this is very important for in being a good auditor. Right, so those are the other four: auditing and financial management, production, data processing and behavioral science. Yes, let's just have a look at these. Right, yes, behavioral science. While it may be said that an auditor, particularly the financial auditor, deals with figures contained in the financial statements, but he is also required to interact with a lot of people. Financial auditor, yes, as against the financial auditor, the internal or the management auditor is expected to deal with human beings rather than the financial figures. Then one of the basic elements in designing controls is personnel. Personnel means what? The staff. However, if a sound internal control structure is designed, it cannot work unless and until the people who are working in the organization are competent and honest. The knowledge of human behavior is indeed very essential for an auditor so as to effectively discharge his duties, right? So knowledge of human behavior, very, very important, right? So that is auditing and behavioral science. Then auditing and data processing. Yes, witnessing a revolution in the field of data processing of accounts. Many organizations are taking the help of computers for document, record, collate, allocate, value accounting data. Programmed instructions given today, like ATM could be a very good example of all programmed instructions, and automatically one after the other it goes to the next steps. And so complete accuracy with which the data is processed. And the capability of the system, the knowledge of the system, the field of computer sciences, the auditor should have good knowledge of the components, hardware, software. Right. In fact, CIS auditing, what does CIS stand for? Yes, what does CIS stand for? Computerized, yes, information system. Yes, computerized information system is CIS auditing. This itself has developed as a discipline itself. So rather this is all a justification ke why in becoming a chartered accountant there are so many subjects in your syllabus. Why you have law, why you have IT, hai na? That's an explanation, justification for all of those. Right, auditing and FM. The auditor is expected to have knowledge about various financial techniques such as working capital management, fund flow, ratio analysis, capital budgeting, FM syllabus, no? Okay. He is expected to have fair knowledge of the institutions that comprise the marketplace. Yes, knowledge of the various institutions and the government activities is also required. And the last one, auditing and production. What does it say? Regarding production function, it may be stated that a good auditor is one who understands the client and his business. So, who is a good auditor? Who understands the client and his business. Yes, he is required to evaluate transactions. So, he should understand by product, joint product, right? Then the knowledge of production process also important for internal auditor. He should check the cost system in operation and the terminology, like what I told you, say J35. And the terminology is important, right? So, I can just discuss the concept and probably go to the next topic of discussion.
Welcome. Subscribe to AS Foundation, India's leading academy for CA course, and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. Thank you.